But my job is to objectively sit here and give you how I see the situation and let it play out after that. See, a lot of difference between a lot of you guys and me is I stand on my own. I don't need no cosign. I don't need nobody else to be rubbing my shoulders and say, oh, we're in the good old boys club and we're hanging out. I don't like that. There was a lot of people that did not like what I was talking last week. A lot of people was upset. But you know what happened? I stood on what I stood on. I don't care if you give me no text messages. I don't care nothing about them DMs either. I stand what I said for and what I meant. And I'm going to keep talking my talk. Now I thought it was funny. I think it was funny. Shout out to Zack Jackson. Zack Jackson came on that show, Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. He went viral. We were on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show and he went viral. One of the things I did, and this is the crazy part about it, because, you know, there's some people right there, and if anybody, one of these guys is listening, listen up very closely. Zack Jackson came on the show. That was on a Monday, last Monday. Prior to that conversation I had with Zack Jackson as we were interviewing him, I made a decision. You know what I was going to do? I was going to sit back. I was going to let Zack say what he was going to say. I didn't lead the witness. As you go back and watch that clip. I'm sitting there the whole time like this. I didn't lead the witness. I didn't tell him what I had said earlier that month or that week or where I wanted Shedeur. I let him come on the platform and I asked him questions. See, there's a lot of cats and trolls out there talking about, why does G. Bush always talk spicy on his platform, but when the guys are sitting there, he doesn't say anything to them. He talks all this trash about his coworkers and stuff. I said, it ain't about talking about trash. You know what? We have conversations on and off. Everybody in the industry knows G. Bush says what he wants to, and he does a good job of making sure that people understand where he's at. But during that platform, this is why you got to break this down and explain it to people. When you're on UCSS, shout out to everybody in UCSS, how you doing? Make sure you subscribe and like. When you're on UCSS, you're on a panel with 3 to 4 other people and producers. We got a list of an agenda that we have to get to in our rundown. That rundown is created by the producers. When I'm on a panel show, my job is to add to the conversation that's being had at the time. It doesn't mean it's time for G. Bush to get on there and go on a tangent for 15 minutes about things that I personally feel about, right? So that's why you have your own platforms. There's multiple platforms that I have. I have a platform on the Bleacher Report. I have a platform on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. I have a platform for the barbershop. I have a platform for the Ultimate Browns. Each one of those things are there to give you a different perspective of the sports scene. So if we're sitting here and we're bringing an interview, somebody on, whether it's Mary Kay, whether it's Zack Jackson, whether it's Aditi, whether it's Leroy Hoare, Bernie, whoever, Joe Thomas, our job is to make that to get the expertise from them at that time. It's not to be sitting there giving 1,000 opinions on different things. They ask questions and get the information in a different perspective. So no, I'm not going to be sitting up there reading off Shedeur Sanders' stats and telling them why people is all off base on the narrative about him when I'm trying to get something from Zack Jackson. So you know what we did? I just sat there and said, I asked my questions, let him say what he will say. And when he said what he said, and it wasn't close, he was doing his thing and it wasn't close, that part went viral. But remember, we talked about that on this platform 2 days prior to that. Go back and look at the thumbnail. I said, Shedeur Sanders is up 1-0 and it's easy. So sometimes you can be a catalyst for something and you not even really know it. Zack Jackson came on. He was on Colin Cowherd. Shout out to Colin Cowherd. He mentioned the show. Multiple national media outlets picked it up. And more than anything, it ain't about big up and me and what I said to begin with. It's to give people, it's to shed light and to give, if we're going to have a fair runway, we're going to have a fair competition, let's talk about the things and be fair about them. Let's talk about the stuff and be objective about it. I've said this before. Me personally, I think Shedeur Sanders is a more complete, more I would say accomplished, and also a better physical quarterback than Dylan Gabriel. That's just my opinion about it. But one thing I'm willing to say is if Dylan Gabriel comes out here and he's balling, I have no choice but to say that Dylan Gabriel is balling. The integrity of the football, the tape don't lie. And so that's the things that I'm standing on. That's the things that I like to talk about is the tape. And at that point in time, Shedeur Sanders, in my opinion, his tape looked better. So, but if Dylan Gabriel comes out here to a man and wins the battle, then you salute you tip your cap to Dylan Gabriel. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult, people. So, one of the things that we looked at with Shedeur Sanders and why I liked it a lot is because now people, because there is another perspective being put into the stratosphere. There is some other people saying, pushing back, like, hold on, was all this pre-draft stuff, what was this about? Because it wasn't about talent. We saw that last week. The talent is there. What is it about? Well, I think Shedeur is still continually doing some great things. Every interview I hear him, I keep hearing people on the opposite side of the aisle say, you know what? This kid ain't that bad. Every time I hear him, he sounds more and more like somebody I could get behind. This interview is courtesy of the Cleveland Browns. This was with Andrew Siciliano. And he's done a couple of interviews so far. But I'm going to show you this interview. And I thought this interview showed the light side of Shedeur Sanders. I thought actually in this interview, he gets back to doing some of the things that he's confident, because at a point in time, I thought that the goal was to strip him of his confidence level, to strip him of all, like, oh, you need to be humble. And his manager, his longtime friend Boogie Knight, who came on the show, said, listen, be careful what you ask for, because what makes a person tick is that inner wisdom, that clock that says, hey, I am something special out here. Take a look at this interview right here.
Walking out of the building here at the Cross Country Mortgage Fieldhouse, and you looked at that grass. Yeah. How good was it day one on Friday to actually put that 12 on, get to that in a second, and be a Cleveland Brown?
It felt amazing. I came here on the 30 visit, and, you know, I was just anxious at that time, like, you know, wanting to know where I'm going to end up at, where I'm going to be, and what franchise I'm going to have a chance of turning around. So I was just excited that finally, you know, everything came true, and, you know, this building is extremely comfortable.
The end of a long journey. I would have to think that actually getting that whole process, getting the pro day, getting all of that behind you, and actually putting a helmet on and throwing a football just felt normal again, didn't it?
It did. It did. So that's why I told myself, like, yesterday, after yesterday practice, I said, I got to have more fun.
Did you not have fun?
No, I have a lot. No, for sure I have fun, but you got to think in those processes so serious all the time. And whenever you're around the teammates and just being around everybody now, it gave me that wholesome feeling again, just being around just the team chemistry, the different personalities that you're going to meet, just all those different type of things.
So, like, be loose, in other words. Like, be yourself a little bit more.
Yeah, I'll say that. That's what teams bring out of you. So now everybody gelling with each other, everybody met each other, so it's real exciting that, you know, I'm excited for today's practice.
It feels like the pressure's off you a little bit more. Pressure is like a weird phrase, but like the weight of the world of the whole process.
Nah, not really the weight of the process. It's like you actually able to meet and understand different human beings that is in the same process with you. That's what the most interesting thing and fun thing to me is now, that you know, these are actual people too.
We don't see it, but you're wearing 12. You're joking to the media that you're not buying anyone else's number now.
I'm not doing that.
No, but did 12 feel good? It's Dad's number backwards.
You get the hint. You get the hint. So yeah, I felt good wearing it for sure. It felt good wearing it. Any number gonna feel good wearing it. It's about what I do in the number.
I like that right there. Let me stop that right there. I like that energy. See, y'all thought you was gonna dumb it down to have him out here scrambling. Man, listen, I like that. I like that moxie. Hey, Any number I put on, it don't matter what the number is. I ain't petty like that. Forget the 2, the 12, whatever is 13. It depends on what I do in it. I like that. Give me that. Give me a round of applause for that. I like that answer. I like that. It's about what I do in the jersey number. It ain't the jersey number. Don't get caught up in the number. Don't get caught up in it. We talking business. It's about what I do in that jersey, boy. I like that.
For real.
I love what you said out there as well. You said, you're not here to prove people wrong. Finish it for me. You are
here to prove myself right.
How do you prove yourself right?
Win games. I think that's what all the fans and that's what everybody want to see, and just be the person I know I am.
How do you prove that? Win these damn football games. We won 3 of them, to be exact, last year. I don't like winning 3 games. See, listen, that's the difference. When people say, why is he so popular? When you get an opportunity to see what he's about, he comes off as natural, comes off as humble, comes out as confident. He's self-deprecating at times. He's intelligent. He has, he knows what to say at the right times. And there's a lot of people out here, and they be cracking me up. I don't understand it, man. They be cracking me up. I can't stand to see any more Shedeur Sanders videos. I'm like, bro, like how is that? That tells me a lot about people when they say that. I hope you don't know that's a slight tale. Ain't no man supposed to be that envious and jealous of another man. When Baker Mayfield got here, we talked about him every day, and rightfully so, because we drafted him number 1 overall, and he was a quarterback. When Johnny Manziel got here, we talked about him all the time. When Brady Quinn was here, he was always in it. When is Brady playing? It's a quarterback, and the Cleveland Browns have a competition. What did you think we were going to talk about? The Guardians losing 2 or 3? It's summertime. What do you think we was going to talk about, dog? Stop it.
How do you embrace this competition? Not just with Dillon Gabriel, but with the other quarterbacks in what we all agree is a crowded quarterback room. Mm-hmm. How do you do that?
Just focus on myself and what I need to do to get better in any areas, I'm lacking in.
What have your first couple of days, you've been here for a while now, a couple of weeks now, been in Cleveland, whether it's going to meet kids at a high school, working out, sitting in your hotel room, I know, watching the Cavs and grinding on the playbook as well. What's that all been like for you?
It's been a good experience. It's been different for me. It's adjustment, I would say. But it was adjustment for the better. And, when I get to my hotel room, I feel comfortable in there every day, because I know I'm not leaving here until they say. So it's exciting, that I'm able to have a nice place to sleep at that's make me feel cozy, make me feel at home. I know I won't be switching rooms and getting in and out.
So when he be talking, now mind you, according to my man Boogie, people talk about Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders been rich his whole life. As a matter of fact, in just endorsements alone, he made $24 million since January. It's according to his team. He's sitting there, he acting like he ain't never been in no hotel before. This don't sound like no dude that's running around here talking about I'm rich, I got it, I'm about to do this. He said, bro, I love it because I love my hotel room. Shout out for the Browns for providing it. And I'm just sitting here learning the playbook. And, hey, I ain't even got to worry about going nowhere. I can just stay in there and do my thing. That don't sound like a dude that's not humble. That don't sound like a dude who probably done stayed in the best hotels in the world. Top suite, penthouse. Like, come on. It ain't like he ain't never been there before. But he's showing you the down, just a person that's really down to earth, and it's just like, yo, like, look, this is great, man. I can stay in the hotel. I think it's even free, man. Shoot, I'm about to stay up in here. This got me over here. I could go right to the practice facility. It's this light. I love this. I'm just still trying to figure out where people had an issue.
Now to different hotel room.
How important is it for you to get out in the community?
I would say it's extremely important, but it's important for my own happiness.
How does it make you happy?
It makes me happy because I'm being able to connect with people, connect with human beings, and not just because this is the thing. If you live in a world of social media, you're gonna think very negatively, and this for all athletes. You'll think very negatively about yourself, or you'll feel too high up. You get what I'm saying? Because that's how media is. You're either gonna be high up or they're gonna tear you down. It's gonna be one or two. There's no in between. So for me, I don't pay attention to that stuff. I focus on, real life. I never seen hate in real life by fans and people spectating that I met ever. So hate only exists online, basically.
I like that because a lot of people, I was looking at underneath the comment section and people was confused with what he was trying to say. Is he saying, man, listen, when you out in the public and you really touching and seeing people and really interacting with people, people don't come up to you with that level of hate. People only get comfortable with hating and saying all the craziest, reckless stuff in the world is when you got somebody that's comfortable with an egg emoji underneath, no face, no picture with it, saying the most ridiculous stuff in the world. You'd be like, bro, why is you saying that and you got kids? You work in a position of leadership at a corporation. You got 3 kids and you got a wife. And you go to church every Sunday, but you on here under this false screen name just doing the most. He's saying, look, man, if you get off social media is a place where they can either say you're the greatest person in the world and you have no flaws, which is going to lead down to a path of you not being what you need to be, or there's going to be a path where they're going to tear you down and tell you you ain't nothing where you just was at. Right? Because they don't know you like that. One of the great things is when you go and you're grounded and you go talk to people at schools, and he's done this in every place. He goes, when he was on visits to places he might not even have been getting drafted, people drafting him there, he still went to those schools there because he said, it's for me. I do that because that's for my personal well-being, my mental health, my spirituality, the things that I like to see and hear and do and touch people. And I thought it was crazy that people tried to, it's a publicity stunt. Again, that tells me a little bit more about you than him. If you think any act of kindness is a publicity stunt, I mean, maybe that's how you operate.
How do you deal with it? Because it's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not saying hate, it's spotlight. Some of it can be negative, certainly. How do you deal with that?
It's the same as it is every year. So I'm accustomed to it. I'm used to it. So I don't even really, focus on it. It don't live in my mind at all.
What's the biggest misconception about you, whether it be from social media
I
or
don't know
elsewhere?
what people think of me. I don't know what people think of me. So if we had just a questionnaire and put everybody in the building, what do you think about Shedeur eventually, then I'm pretty sure it'll be number positive.
I guarantee you there'll be plenty of positives as well, and there'll be positives when you get out there on the field as well. You have a message here for Browns fans who have been, speaking of social media, obviously sitting on their phones, hanging on their phones, looking for every possible clip of you or Dylan or any of these rookies, Mason Graham, all the way down the line. What is your message here for the Dog Pound?
We're here to work. Simple. That's what we came here to do. That's what we're going to do.
All right, and that work begins this weekend. Shedeur, the 12 looks good, man.
Begins now.
Begins now.
Actually, yesterday.
All right, well, we're about to get out there for day 2.
I like that. He said, no, let's go ahead and talk about why it is now. I like it. Does that mean Shedeur Sanders? That was courtesy of the Cleveland Browns, by the way. Does that mean Shedeur Sanders is going to come out here and be a Super Bowl winning quarterback year 1? No. Does it mean he's not going to have some pitfalls? He might have some setbacks on the field? No. Does that mean that he's the best quarterback that we've ever seen in our lives? No. Does he still have to go out and earn it and work for it and beat Dylan Gabriel out and beat Kenny Pickett out and beat Joe Flacco out and still continue to show his teammates, the coaching and the organization that he's worth that guy to be playing? Sure. All that's true. But it also can do one or two things as well. I think when you hear him talk like that, what it'll do is it gives your coaching staff more confidence in you to give you more playing time. And I want to get this straight. I want to get this, be clear. The job will be done on the field. The job will be won between the white lines. It's not the interviews that get it done. It's touchdowns, completions, in and out of the huddle, making the right checks, making the right moves. That's where the job will be won at. But the other stuff gives the coaching staff the ability and the confidence to give you the reps so that you can earn the job. See what I'm saying? Without getting those reps, you can't show your talent. Without getting the opportunity on the field to show what you can do, you can't win the job. You say, how do you win the job? You win the job through your actions and the intangibles and the stuff that you do in the building throughout that time period. A lot of people will glaze over what I say because sometimes you just get caught up in what I'm saying, that's bombastic or large or big, and you don't drill down on what I'm actually saying. And what I'm actually saying is you got to do two things. You got to overdo it. And I think Shedeur Sanders is doing a good job of doing that right now. And when you do those things, what you start to see is the national people coming around. Because here's the thing. Let me be honest with you guys. Here's how it works. Last week, I gave, and this was to me a class in what the media does, right? Let me give you a class in the national media. The national media, what they do, they don't have an opportunity or the time or the energy to cover the minutia of the Cleveland Browns. Most of them are in New York or LA. They concentrate on the big stories. They talk about the Cowboys. They talk about the Giants. They talk about the Eagles. They talk about those big teams, the flagship teams. And they don't have the ability to be sitting around watching Browns mini camp or Browns practices or the Patriots practices. Or no, they follow the superstars and they follow what they do more closely. They don't drill down on the Browns and what they're doing in the minutia until they find that they got a superstar or somebody that moves the needle. Shedeur Sanders moves the needle, right? So they're going to cover it a little bit more. But guess what? They still don't have the time to be sitting here watching these practices. So they take the cue and they take the leadership and they take read the tea leaves from by what the local media says. And so they go back and they look and they say, okay, there's a lot of noise coming out of Cleveland about Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, which is correct, which is accurate. Let me drill down on that and see what we got going. If they feel like, there's a little Cleveland bias in this, I don't know, you guys are just fanboys right now. I don't see it. They'll create a story and say, Cleveland is really excited about Shedeur Sanders. Here's why I think they're faulty. But if they drill down on the story and look around and read the tea leaves and say, I think they might be onto something. They got a little energy level to this Shedeur Sanders thing. Hey, producer, hey, at the 8:10, let's talk about the Shedeur Sanders things. I'm looking at the numbers from Cleveland and around in Pittsburgh and some of the Midwest cities, and I'm starting to see a rise and a spike in some of these numbers outside of Cleveland. Now they want to take advantage of that. When the story goes viral and people go viral and Shedeur is winning by a landslide when it was the opposite of what it was supposed to be, that story picked up steam. National media says, might be something there. Let's take a look at it. But on the outside looking in, they're not going to be coming around, sniffing around in local stories for a 3-14 football team unless you moving the needle. And now there's a shift. Shedeur is moving the needle a little bit. So now you have guys like this, Pat McAfee show, where they have Dan Orlovsky on. And Dan is now coming out doing some of the same things that Colin Cowherd has said. Well, Cleveland Browns fans in front office, if you like Shedeur Sanders at 2, and at worst, you thought you should have took him at 33, why is there a surprise that he's playing this well at camp? And why is there a surprise that people would not say, given the opportunity, he could be your day one starter? Think about that. We've all come to the conclusion Shedeur Sanders did not fall in the draft due to his talent. That's false. That's completely false. We've already debunked that. He did not fall because they didn't think he'd throw the ball. He didn't fall because he wasn't accurate. He was the most accurate quarterback in the history of the game. He didn't fall because people didn't like him in his team and he wasn't a good leader. He fell because of narratives around the process of interviewing at the combine and throughout some of those visits. He's not the first person to do it, won't be the last person. But my question is, when you start talking about starting day one or being able to start, there's this thing where people is kind of like this. I don't know why they would think he could start possibly. Wow, it should be Kenny Pickett. But no. If you liked him at 2, Mel Kiper had him the number 1 guy on the board. If we, and everybody in the you find me one person, and I'm just giving you this, find me one person that said he was a 5th round talent. You can't find it. He fell because of the other stuff. But when the other stuff, you start to hear him, you start to see him, you start to see him interact with his teammates. When the other stuff starts to fall to the wayside, why wouldn't you expect somebody to be like, this kid could possibly start? He might got something here. Take a look at what Pat McAfee said on his show in terms of Shedeur Sanders and what they're thinking with Dan Orlovsky, that this might be a Dillon Gabriel versus Shedeur Sanders for the starting role, not just the backup.
Cleveland Browns. Obviously, you got Joe Flacco there. You got Kenny Pickett, and then the 2 rookies with Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. What do you think? How do you see this playing out for Cleveland throughout the season? What do you think the plan is going through the season, and how do the reps get broken down from a guy who's been in the quarterback room for a long time?
Yeah, I would do everything I can to start either Shedeur Sanders or Dillon Gabriel this year. I would only start Joe Flacco or Kenny, and probably Joe if, oh my gosh, this is a disaster. And if you're Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Barrow, their head coach and general manager, you go, hey, if one of these 2 kids starts, we're going to get fired. If it's that bad throughout the preseason. So I think Joe is just there certainly for comfort. The reps, I don't think that, and I saw Kevin, and I know you guys talked about this a little bit yesterday, the reps, like in the offseason, specifically in that spring period, reps really don't matter who you're doing them with. Because, but you know this, you got.
I want to jump in here really quick. He's of the mindset that I'm a little bit of the mindset as well. If it's close, I'm going with the young guy. If it's close, I'm going with the young guy. If you get past preseason and the summer camps and you get into the preseason and you start to see, okay, well, to me, it boils down to how acclimated they are to the playbook. Do they know the checks? Do they know certain things? Do they seem poised enough to not turn the football over? And are they doing some of the things that Kevin Stefanski wants them to do and concentrate on? If that's yes, there's no upside into playing one of the old veterans. It's not. Let me give you an example, and we'll get back to this really quickly. Look at Kenny Pickett. They already declined his 5th-year option. So that means if Kenny Pickett, say for instance, let's go through all the scenarios. Kenny Pickett starts an entire year. He's your guy, entire year. Say you go 4 and whatever, 4 and 13. He starts the entire year. Well, Kenny Pickett doesn't have any more years on his contract. So then you're going to have to make a decision on Kenny Pickett. Do you want to give Kenny Pickett on 1 year of production on a 4 and 13 team a contract like Sam Darnold got? Because that's what happened with Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold had a way bigger body of work, right? Sam Darnold got a large contract. So they would have to pay him a large amount of money to keep him while Deshaun Watson is still on this roster. Not going to be attainable. The reason why Dillon and Shedeur Sanders make sense is because you can almost eliminate any penalties that you have for Deshaun Watson if you find a franchise quarterback in the 3rd or 5th round pick. If those guys are franchise quarterbacks, the Deshaun Watson deal, whatever may happen, I talked to Quincy Carrier about this. Nobody remembers Deshaun Watson if you get a quarterback in the 5th round and you got 4 years of dirt cheap Top-notch quarterback play, whether that's from Dillon Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders, right? But if you start Pickett, guess what? You want to pay him $100-some million? You want to pay him $25 million a year? Doesn't seem like you want to do that, do you? Let's go to Joe Flacco. Now, I like Flacco. I think Flacco could win you some games. I think you win 7 games with Flacco if he's able to play. I like him. He's familiar. But Joe's 41. He's on a 1-year deal. He got 2 picks next year. He's not. The Browns aren't bringing him back. They're not. I don't care if Joe Flacco will throw for 6,000. They won't bring him back. And you still don't know exactly what you have a quarterback. Or my thought process, Dan Orlovsky's process, McAfee's thoughts are this. You got a 3rd round and a 5th rounder. Maybe you like both of them. One's a starter, one's a backup. I want to see when you look at this schedule, and the schedule came out. People talk about, I wouldn't play him until after Miami, week 6 or 7. I wouldn't play these guys, G. I wouldn't play them. Well, listen, I want to see what they're about. What's the best way to find out if somebody is good or not? To play them. That's what they did to Jaden Daniels. That's what they did out in New England, right? This is what they did out in New England. You play the guy and see what's going on. So to me, there's no upside in playing, Pickett or Flacco 7-8 games, and then now all of a sudden you only have 8 games to evaluate. That's just me. Let me know. How many games you willing to wait and sit? Am I crazy? Put it in the comment section. We'll get to that very soon. Continue on.
The receiver fluctuation of this guy's only going to take 4 reps. This guy's going to take 6 reps. This offensive lineman may not practice today. So, a lot of times coaches are more trying to put you as the quarterback in situations with certain people rather than certain number 1, number 2, number 3 on the board type of thing. So sometimes it's like, hey, I want to see how he performs with the backup offensive line against the starting defensive line, or I want to see how he throws the ball to David Njoku, or I want to see how him and Jerry Jeudy communicate, stuff like that. So that's a huge part of it too, rather than what guy runs out there first, one guy runs out there second. I want to see him go against the starting secondary, and so there's a lot of that goes on with the quarterback kind of moving chairs or musical chairs and the reps distribution. But if I was Cleveland, and because of the trade and knowing what 26 looks like for them, at least as we sit here today with the draft, there's not a ton of benefit for me starting Joe Flacco because it doesn't answer anything with the potential of next year's class and them figuring out long-term at least what's the situation. So I would start one of those 2 rookies.
How do you feel from Dillon Gabriel's standpoint? Do you like where Dillon Gabriel is?
I really liked Gabriel. Gabriel was a guy for me. I remember talking to Field Yates about Dillon Gabriel maybe early November and just sitting there going, sneaky guy that could get into early 2nd round. And I think what for me kind of cooled me with Gabriel was the playoff was such a poor representation of who he was. I felt like it just did not go well. Obviously, boat raced by Ohio State. And so that calmed me a little bit on Dillon, but he's played a ton of football. He's got a lot of similarities to a player like Tua, not only lefty and whatnot, but, the ball distribution, the anticipation, the layering throws over guys. So, Miami, I honestly thought was maybe an interesting place for him in that 2nd or 3rd round, but I don't think Gabriel is a guy that people should overlook. He's a really, really talented thrower. And by all accounts, it seems like Shedeur's had a good start. So I think one of those guys has got to be the person that, as Cleveland, in the next couple of months, you go, okay, you got to show me you can't do it. You got to show me that this would be a disaster for us to start you, or we're going to start you and see if we've, again, like the Saints, we got lucky on some stuff.
Dillon drafted
and
2 rounds.
Let me say this last real quickly to end. Sorry. I actually always thought Cleveland was a significantly better place for Shedeur than Pittsburgh when it came to their scheme.
There you have it. Dan Orlovsky. At the end, he gives Dillon Gabriel some praise. He said he was a sneaky guy. I had some of the same reservations about Dillon Gabriel, I'm going to be honest with you, against the Ohio State game. The Ohio State game, the second one in a row, it was crazy. I mean, I thought Ohio State had, as many talented guys they had. I thought that was a representation of a defense that you would get an opportunity to see in the NFL. And I think that's more of what you would see, how the production would go. It's just so tough when you're going against monsters up front like that, guys that could be sticky in coverage, people flying all over the field. I just don't know if Dillon Gabriel has the arm talent. But look, the Cleveland Browns, as I said before, Stefanski and Barry believed in what he was going to do, and he has an opportunity to compete. That's up to Shedeur and the rest of the quarterbacks to beat him out. Like I said, if he comes out and balls out, guess what? I support him. He's a Cleveland Brown. It is what it is. But I do believe Shedeur Sanders is the better option. We'll see how he goes and takes it to the reins. But I think the most important thing coming from this and the takeaway from this is this. I think the most important takeaway is the fact that now you're starting to see people come around. People are starting to come around a little bit to the realization that, I mean, why would this not be a season in which you wanted to see which one of your rookie guys can do it? Why would you not want to see what Shedeur Sanders was about when you thought he had a second overall quarterback on your board, or at least a second round grade at 33? Why would you not want to see that? And you start to look and say, okay, well, look, hey man, we've gotten to a point where extrapolate it out. What is the best case and worst case scenario for who starts? If Flacco starts and plays 17 games, that's a tough scenario, because that means his contract is up. Kenny Pickett's contract is up, and you've got no reps from these two guys that you could figure out and whether or not you need a quarterback next year. If Kenny Pickett is a quarterback for 17 weeks, guess what? I mean, you're going to pay Kenny Pickett $120 million if he's the guy. And if he's not the guy and he stinks to join up, he's going to leave anyway. You just wasted the reps. I think more and more will come around when people will start to look at this thing and say, look, this is a two-dog race. And it's not the fact that, and me saying it's a two-dog race does not mean that Kevin Stefanski is going to hand any of these guys the job. Listen to what I'm saying. So when you guys see it in the comment section, you can say, G. Bush, you weren't listening. They have to earn it. I believe Dan Orlovsky said it best. If Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry see these guys in the summertime and say, listen, if we start one of these dudes, it's going to be so bad, we're going to get fired. They're not going to start them. They're going with one of these other two guys, right? And then we'll ease them in. But if it's close, I wholeheartedly believe that one of the two rookies will get it. Let's get back to the comments. Let's see what we got going on. 474 comments. We'll get to these 2,000 people in here. We want to shout out Facebook. We want to shout out YouTube. If you're a barbershop clan, I appreciate you. We welcome on in UCSS and, of course, on Twitter, a.k.a. X. We appreciate you as well. Let's get it popping. My man Alan Ferguson says, got to get Mary Kay or Grossi on. Would love to see you call them out in an interview, especially Grossi. He got a Sanders hate fester growing in him. I appreciate it, Alan. Here's the thing. I don't even look. I've had, when I used to do my let me take this down. When I used to do my radio show, Mary Kay used to be on all the time. I've never had the opportunity to talk to, I've worked with Tony Grossi in the past, but it was more on the production side with the Browns radio network. I've never, as a host, had an opportunity. Obviously, I used to work for 92. He works for ESPN Cleveland. You know, we don't have very many conversations back and forth. That's just what the policy is. But in terms of me being, now where I'm at independently, I don't have no problem with Mary Kay or Tony Grossi. That's why I say I don't have no issue with nobody, because you know what? I speak my stuff openly. Listen, if they want to make 10 blog, people always tell about, hey man, why didn't you say it this? I said, listen, I ain't never had a copyright strike on nobody. If you want to take my footage, recreate it, put 35 captions on it, and then be like, G. Bush was out of pocket, so be it. Everybody got an opportunity to rebuttal. I don't kick nobody out of nowhere. You can come right in the comment section. I take all kind of comments all the time. Listen, everybody got my number, phone number, digits. We've had conversations all the time. I've had conversations. Shout out to Mary Kay. There's things that we didn't agree on. She hit me up. We talked and had a conversation, and we all love. Mary Kay's on UCSS every single week. So I don't got no problem with nobody. My thing is I'm a little more vocal on it. I just put it out there. I ain't got no agenda. I just don't agree with the assessment in which that Shedeur Sanders was some sort of, I don't know, like he tried to act like he couldn't play. I don't agree with that. So for me, it is what it is. Like, I go on anybody's platform. I have conversations with everybody all the time. It's not a big deal. This is an opinion-based business. And if you don't agree, sometimes you can agree to disagree. Hey man, ain't nobody shot nobody. I'm just saying. But my interviews do hit a little harder. My blogs do be hitting. I'm playing. Let's get back to it. Let's see what we got here. Let me see. Let me see. So here's Shamira at Vibesless. Yes, the most glazed QB that draft. Now this one was Shedeur. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. Glazing at this point. Dave Young. Shedeur is used to being terrible at terrible universities. That's why I would place my money on Shedeur. Let me see. I'm a Rams fan, but pulling for the Browns because of Shedeur. He to see, like to see, I don't know how you phrase this typo. His progress sounds like he's off to a good start, right? It's very clear to see you're just backing him because he's black. Well, listen, here's the thing. At least you open enough to say it. At least you're open enough to tell people how you feel about it. And he's open to being blackballed by the NFL. No, Shamira, I think what people are saying is that they've seen him throw the football, and if they've watched him throw the football at Jackson State and watched him throw the football and become an All-American and become one of the most prolific passers in the history of Colorado, I don't think that he had anything to do with it. Some would argue that he was kind of unfairly treated in the interview process, but at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of people standing on business that the guy can throw the football. I don't care if listen, Colin Kaepernick got blackballed. Do I want him as my quarterback now? No. Like, nah, bro, I'm cool on Colin. Like, what do you, I don't know where you're coming with that. Let's see. Let's keep it going. Let me see. Let me get a couple more of these in here. Mike Cunningham, this is a good question. Can Shedeur be better than the Houston version of Deshaun Watson? This is a tough one. Let's be clear. Deshaun Watson threw for 4,000 some yards. He was very accurate. What did he do? Let me see. Let me take a look. Deshaun Watson stats. Let's take a look at what he did specifically. Let me see. What year are we looking for? What year? According to Football Reference, Deshaun Watson was in Houston from 2017 to 2020. In his first year, he started 6 games. And he had a QBR of 83.7. And he threw for 19 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 1,699 yards. He really broke out his breakout year when he really got played 16 games. He threw for 4,165 yards, 26 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. And his QBR was 61.8 and his rating was 103.1. That was his first year. He was 23 at that time. He was pretty good. That's pretty good. That's really good numbers, actually, matter of fact. His breakout year, his best year, was when he was 25. They went 4-12 in that season, but he threw for 4,823 yards, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He threw for over 301 yards per game, and his rating was 112.4. He was really good. Do I think Shedeur can get to that level? It's a possibility. He's very accurate. I don't know if he'll have the opportunity to throw the ball that much. 4,800 yards, you got to put the ball up in the air. How many attempts did he have? He threw the ball 544 times. His completion percentage was 70%. That's a really good season. I mean, if he has a season like that, the Browns is going to be cooking. Deshaun Watson, that 25-year-old season, he was cooking. Do I think Shedeur can get there? Yeah. Yeah, I think he can get there. It's going to take some work, but I don't know if he had an opportunity. But, the Browns want to do more play action and do things like that. But is he going to have a chance to look at something like that? Yeah. Mike Swagger says people forget how Deshaun Watson really was. He fell off a huge cliff. Man, Deshaun Watson, this is crazy too. Deshaun Watson at one point in time was probably a top 3 quarterback. I mean, he was a top 3. Look at those numbers. I mean, this dude was spectacular, man. 4,800 yards, 33 touchdowns. I'm not even counting his rushing yards. Not even counting his rushing yards. And then take a look at what happened when he was in Cleveland. Sat out 2 years. That 2 years killed. I think the 2 years killed his game. I'm be honest with you. 2 years killed his game. I remember my dad used to always say, I used to play baseball in high school, and I tried to play baseball in college. And I remember my dad saying, if you ever stop playing, you're going to have an uphill battle, because every year that you keep playing, guys are taking jumps. So those pitchers that you saw in high school that you was killing, the velocity is up. The curveball is dropping off the table now. Guys are just better fielders. They get into some of the balls that you hit in the outfield. You're not going to be able to have this. It's just the progression starts. I think them 2 years hurt it. 2 years hurt it. 12-1 to 2024 Johnny United's Golden Arm Award. Yeah, that ain't got nothing to do with the other stuff. I remember watching Deshaun break a tackle, get kicked in the eye, and throw a tutty with one eye closed while he was being tackled. He was a dog. He was. Grossy Mary Kay Cleveland Media Mafia hate Shedeur and what he stands for by so personally. They shoulder shrug and then try to tell us a quarterback you have to look through a magnifying glass is better. Here's the thing about. I think this is to be pointed out a little bit. Hit the like button wherever you at. I think this is to be pointed out a little bit. That in this business, and I'll give them grace a little bit. And it's not like I'm just out here. I try to be unbiased as I can. Their job and my job is 2 different things. First of all, I'm an entertainer. And first of all, my job is to tell you, I'm not a beat reporter. Like, I'm not going around. There's certain aspects of a beat reporter. You got to think about it like this. It really don't do a beat reporter any justice to be bold on anything. Case in point, if I was Mary Kay or if I was Tony, and you came out and you said, who looks better? It's better for you to downplay it and say it's even. Here's why. Because what if you say you like a person better, and it is obvious when practice starts that person is not better than another person? Then people are going to be like, I thought you said. Case in point, I said Deshaun Watson was going to throw for 4,500. I said, I need 5,000, 4,500. People went crazy. They're like, Deshaun Watson is barely throwing for this, that, and that. I said, listen, who would have known he was terrible? I didn't know he fell off a cliff. How am I going to prognosticate that? See, but that's the difference. I'm an opinion person. It's easier for me to be like, all right, well, listen, I always tell people when you get new information, always be willing to change your mind. Only a fool doubles down on something that we know is not true. There's a lot of flat earthers just keep doubling down. Why are you doubling down? You know the earth is round. Quit playing. Yes, we landed on the moon. Stop it. But if you're a beat reporter, you got to see them people every day. So you got to be able to ask questions, develop relationships. You got to be able to do a lot of different things inside those locker rooms in order to do your job. So sometimes it don't come up, it don't pay for you to have hot takes. So sometimes if there's a quarterback competition, it's better that you have all the information before you give your assessment of the situation. Because then, you know, it's a lot easier. It's evident. When the coach already done said he's starting and you done asked him and he says, you know, he's starting, you could go ahead and run with that. I don't got to use nothing what I know. So I will give people, it's a little bit different in terms of what their job is and what my job is. Last one, before we're going to get to some Cavs here as well. Oh man, y'all cats is funny. Okay, all right, here we go. Yeah. I lived in LA, and the moon landing was shot at Laurel Canyon Boulevard by the CIA. Whew, boy, oh boy. You see what you done did, boy? Shout out to all. And I bet you Stanley Kubrick, he was the director of that, right? Come on, man. I heard Stanley Kubrick after a Space Odyssey. He said, I can shoot it. I can make it look real.